It looks like a train is about to come out of that tunnel, and there it is. Hi, it's Burr Stewart, and I was over at Eric Van Nice's spectacular HO scale model railroad the other day, and I took shots both from a camera mounted on a flat car, which you can see on the right there in the inset, as well as some panoramic shots with my handheld iPhone. What we're going to do is blend them together here, and you can watch the view from the locomotive cab at the same time as you see the beautiful scenery that he has on his layout. Eric has been building layouts like this his entire life. This is his fourth major layout. I've been lucky enough to be able to see all four of them as we've lived our lives here in the Seattle area. I wish we had such easy access to video recording back in those days, or I'd show you those layouts. This layout is called the Ichor, Dayton, and Wickiup, and this is the town of Ichor, and it has a brand new boat scene there, which I'll get into more detail with later. And this is a swing bridge, which actually does rotate, and it's fun to see trains go across this. All of the modeling here is based on photographs from the 1890s that Eric has collected all his life. He grew up in eastern Washington state, and this is what he models. The mine there that he scratch built on the left is really a thing to behold, and I'll have a few shots of that in this video. And you can go back and search my channel for Eric Van Nice, and you'll see some other shots of that. That waterfall something. It's a beautiful farm scene there, and now we're coming into the town of Dayton. And that's the Dayton station. And he's got a nice little downtown area modeled here. See the dog by the track. We'll go by that later on the return trip in a few minutes. See there are all the downtown row buildings in the town of Dayton. And he's still working on the industrial section over to the left, where he's got a number of buildings in place, but he hasn't finished the details and the scenery. You may have seen I posted a short video of this very recently, just showing the cab view, and commented there that he has the turnouts controlled with tortoise switch machines and toggle switches on the front fascia so that he's able to avoid reaching into the layout when running a train around. He also hand-painted all these backdrops. What a beautiful bunch of rock castings. On the other side of the tunnel is one of my favorite diamond truss bridges. And then this is the scene of a trestle under construction that he did a beautiful job with. I'll show you some details of that in a few minutes too. I have a previous video of this layout that shows that he recently installed the head of Mark Twain up on the cliff there, sort of a takeoff from Mount Rushmore. He's a big Mark Twain fan. And that's a very nice roundhouse that he just recently built up. Typical details of the era. Wow. So now we're going to come through that same area again with the camera train so that you can really see the downtown and what it would look like if you were there. This area on the right is undeveloped at the moment. It's going to be his last major building for the layout. It's a big sawmill that he's planning to build. And I'm looking forward to that personally because we'll be able to run flat car loads with lots of lumber on them and that type of thing. I think he has a couple of other switches put in here so that he can install some other industries in this town of Dayton. You'll notice, you see how it shifted to the right there? The camera is on a very low depressed center flat car that he made for the purpose of mounting a little camera. And if I have the camera sideways like this, it'll sometimes hit the ground throws. Or that dog. We were worried about the dog being hit. Yeah, did you see how the camera shoved over to the side a little bit when it went by the dog? Oh, well. Now we're coming by that farm scene on the right. And preparing to head out over that spectacular timber truss bridge. Waterfall is off to the left, but you can't see it from this view. I think I picked up the camera so that I'd be able to show it to you. Yeah. There's the waterfall. And there's the depressed center flat car that he built for this. And that mine. Go back to my other videos on this layout. Search for Eric Vannice, and you'll see better shots of that mine. It's really a work of art. Now what's going to happen here is we're going to hit that ground throw, and I'm going to pick up the camera again. I think. No, we just tilted. I'm wrong. So we're okay going around that curve. Now after we crossed the bridge, we stopped in the town of Ichor to take on water. There it is. Gives you a chance to see that beautiful crane model over on the right side that he did. I feature that in several videos, including right now. Every time I get near it, I have to go over and look at it. In this case, we're looking at the engine. This is a Bachmann steam engine that Brian Elchlip recently put a decoder in. It runs pretty well considering it's got a belt drive that's a little difficult for slow speed operation. Yeah, look at that little climax. Vertical boiler climax, it's called. And there's the crane I'm always drooling about. He built this from a kit. I can't tell you who made the kit. That was many years ago. You can just go crazy if you're model railroading. There's so many different things to do. Build retaining walls. Those are retaining walls he built from scratch. Sidewalks. Horse-drawn carts. You name it. Now we're going to take a few minutes here to look at the latest thing he did, which is Ken's Boats, named after his son Ken. And it's a beautiful model. This boat under construction is a kit that he purchased and obviously only half completed. and he wanted me to show you the inside, taking off the roof. I'm not sure he's completely finished with the detailing and weathering of this interior, but this is very recent progress that he's made on the layout. I guess you could say it's his next to last major building, but hard to say. Isn't that a nice model? I like the way that he blended the rails into the water. And you can just imagine dropping the finished boat into the water when it was time to launch. He did a really good job of the watercolor, too. Here's another view of that scene, panning around from left to right.
Want to see in there?
And he took out a flashlight to show me the interior from outside a little better. Well, I thought I would show you the other part of this town, which is the waterfront scene. It is really something. The sinking ship is a bit of a joke because, well, I won't go into the inside joke, but the person standing on the top of the boat there looking in the window is supposed to be me. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with the model railroad. You can make fun of your friends. You can try to give it some kind of meaning. There's that crane again. Can't stop looking at it. Eric is obviously very into scenery, and I keep asking him what this building is. It looks like a big grain mill to me or something, but he hasn't really decided, to tell you the truth. So before we get back to the action shots, I wanted to give you one more tour of this beautiful trestle under construction. 1890s. It was pretty complicated to build a trestle. You had to have a whole camp. You see the tents there on the upper left for the workers. The steam engine, pile driver. Imagine all the work that was involved in making one of these trestles. They had hundreds and hundreds of workers, and they had to cut the lumber from the forests. And the funny thing about these wood trestles is they only lasted 20 or 30 years usually. They had to be rebuilt or filled in or something. That was the exploration of the North American continent in the 1800s. And this is a real testament to the history of it.
It's out of the fog. Out of the fog, and I'm going, wow. And that was my first steam engine. And that's how I got.
He makes his trees from furnace filter, just the same way I do. And I think they're pretty good. They're pretty convincing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
All right, now we're going to get back to the camera train view. We're having a meet. You can see the camera on the flat car there by the station, and in the inset, the other train passing off to the right. Go ahead. Yep. Well, we're leaving Ichor, passing the climax. These beautiful rock cliffs. And heading into the tunnel. And you can see there's light at the end of the tunnel. I wonder what's in there. Well, in here is Eric's workbench and a reverse loop so he can turn trains around. I'll show you a little bit of that here, and then we'll wrap it up for today. It's interesting to see what goes on behind the scenes. This is track that is right above his main DCC control panel. And you can see he has the historic photos on the left hanging on the wall that he's modeling, he's inspired by. And of course, every modeler has at least one brass engine that they hope one day to paint and put in service. That Northern Pacific boxcar is probably a little modern for the 1800s, but whatever. There's some of my equipment that I loaned to him there, those tank cars and the ore cars.
I've seen the big guys running up and down and all that stuff. I was in Arizona on a business trip.
And then down below, we have the active workbench with some paint, a little miniature drill press, a cutting mat, of course, glues, and parts bins. And he did a really clever thing down on the left. He put a drawer slides in so that he could have a whole battery of paints there at his fingertips, but hidden most of the time. Isn't that clever? So I hope you've enjoyed this more expansive tour of Eric's layout, and you'll look at the others on my channel. And for now, this is Burr Stewart, wishing you much fun with trains.